Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of A Few Short Minutes, the pod. My name is Stacey Short. I am your host, and I want you to remember that it takes only a few short minutes a day to actually rewire your brain. You guys, I am so excited for this conversation. I was just reading Justin's bio before he rolled in, and I started getting chills. And for those of you that know me, you know that that's a good thing. So let me give you a little bit of information that got me so excited about having Justin as a guest. Okay. So Justin is an author, a thought leader, and a sorcerer, passionate about empowering people to reclaim their self-worth and manifest their highest potential. He weaves humor and powerful insights from the quantum field, hello, into unique messages that bypass the barriers of the mind and reach the heart and soul and the seat of long-lasting transformation. How did he get there? He had a long battle with substance abuse and an anxiety disorder, and he experienced firsthand the healing and the redeeming power of source energy when summoned by clear intention, faith, and commitment to healing. And there go the chills again. Justin, this means more to me than you know just now, but you will. And so introduce the people to you. Like you introduce your people to, let me try that again. You introduce yourself to the people. That's what I was trying to say.
Well, hello, people.
Hello, people.
So, yeah, I would say, through a string of just, a lot of misfortune, some bad choices by parents that really didn't know how to parent, a string of all kinds of negativity throughout my entire life. I just became kind of sick of it, sick and tired of being sick and tired kind of thing. So, I've had a lot of great things in my life happen, and I've had a lot of crappy things in my life happen. And today I deal with both the same. I'm able to find things and have a perspective that, when things happen, they always seem to work out no matter what. It's kind of gaining perspective on things. I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona. Currently, I'm living in Sedona. I may move back to Scottsdale. It's not far. Kind of come both. This is kind of like home away from home. Just kind of average life, really average American life. High school. I was nothing special. Certainly, B's and C's. I just wanted to get not get yelled at, essentially. So applying myself in high school wasn't applying myself in life. Really wasn't something I just kind of would rather just exist. But I got through college, and I had some great experiences there. I went to Arizona State, right at their kind of.
Oh yeah, that's a huge party school.
yeah, right at the height of the party. So, but somehow I got through. But see, the thing is when you graduate college, professors don't care if you're high or falling asleep or incoherent in general. The work world does. So, I had many failings in careers. Let me just. Let's get my face here. Okay, that's a little better. All right, so yeah, I had many career failures, failure after failure after failure. I cannot tell you how many jobs I got fired from, and 90% of them, the core was that I was high on the job and I messed it up, or I just came in high and just got fired. And this was kind of the cycle throughout my life. And in the last 5 years, I've had 5 major traumas in the last 5 years, and it just brought me to just absolute. I don't want to be here anymore. Like I was never
to your knees.
I was never at the point of suicidal. I never had plans. There's never any sort of plans. It was just like every day I wanted to wake up and just hope that maybe today was the day. I'd get hit by a bus, like just so. And that's an awful way to live. There's just better ways
Yeah.
to live. Yeah. So that's a little bit about me, I suppose. There's a lot more, but
Right. No, I appreciate that. Um, so why I said that your story means more to me than right now is because I had a brother that struggled, my baby brother struggled with substance abuse for, I don't know, 15 years. And so the family struggled, of course, because it's not just one person that has the abuse problem. It's a whole family that's a problem. And then I lost him to unaliving himself
sorry.
almost 8 years ago. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
here.
Oh, I
I'm
very
glad
well
you're
could
here.
not have been, believe me. Many close
Yeah.
calls.
Yeah, and him too. He had many close calls and before he was successful. So yeah, I know what the family part of that is like, and it is absolutely devastating. Um, what were you trying to escape from that led to the, numbing out?
Yeah. So what I was trying to escape from is what I have found recently and what this book is based around. Um, it's the book and it's a program too. It's just this whole thing kind of came to me through meditation and stuff. But um, basically, why the issues were, of course, I had no idea at the time. It's just like I like drugs. I don't understand why every single person on the planet doesn't like drugs either. Like I couldn't. But now I know. I realize that there's just a feeling of um, unworthiness, which is just a massive part of life. If you don't, you're just not going to get through and have a successful, good life if you don't feel worthy. I had read The Secret. My dad has always been kind of, this kind of more self-help. He's had a lot of extreme, depression issues and stuff, but he's pushed through and, read a lot of stuff. And he helped me kind of through those hard times a little bit. My parents were separated at this time, and it was tough. But the whole reason, the whole core was that I just didn't feel loved. I didn't feel worthy because I wasn't told that. No one growing up, no one told me. No one said the words "I love you" when I was growing up. Nobody, because it's just one of those families that just that emotions are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So we don't deal with emotions. And if there's something bad that happens, let's pretend it didn't. So like I was lied to a lot. Um,
Mm.
I was not my family was it's just not good with like, holding or hugging me or any sort of affection. I mean, they were
Yeah.
really involved in their lives heavily. Heavily involved without knowing it. And I don't blame them. I don't ever want to talk bad about them. I love my parents.
No,
They did the
it just
best job
is
that they could.
with
It's just
what
the
they
best
had at the
job they
time.
could wasn't good enough for me, like it just so that's really what led to all my issues and everything. But I'm, looking back on it, seeing what it's producing, I'm, I wouldn't now I'm like, well, if I had to go through all that, to get to something that, this is the very beginning stages of something, like I'm very excited about it. So I'm certainly not. I'm not upset about my past. Certainly. So.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that every step took you to this moment.
Yep.
Whatever that moment is, every step that came before it was meant for now. And so you don't if you like now, then changing the past, you might not be here now. And if you don't like now, then change it now. And that's the beauty of being
Yeah.
human is you can decide right now to be different, to change, to move differently, to think differently, to show up differently in your life. Doesn't mean you feel differently right away. And I think you could talk about that of like, you don't feel differently right away, but it that comes after the change starts to happen. Like this, you make the change first, and then the feelings come along with it. Was that your experience in your healing?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It did not happen right away. So this all is relatively new. I was I was sober for a long time, but I wasn't emotionally sober, if that makes sense. I just traded my drugs and alcohol for, like uh,
Relationships.
yeah, relationships, yep,
Yep.
sex and all that. Yep. That
Right.
seems to be what happens the easiest for people like
Yeah.
me. You have to replace it with something. But I just wait, what was the original question? I lost myself for a
That's
second.
okay. I have ADHD, so that's absolutely fine. I said the feeling comes after you start making the change. And so I asked, was your experience too? Did the feeling, like the change happen first and then the feelings came? Is that accurate? And
So
you were talking about your
okay, yeah,
experience.
that's what it was. Yeah, yeah, I was getting into one of the best parts of my story. So the towards the end of 2020, which was not a good year, I think we could all agree it was not a good year for anybody. Certainly affected my mental health already wasn't great at the time. It heavily affected. I mean, the fear mongering of the news and all this insanity just
Sure.
really got to me, especially in the beginning parts. So I'm towards kind of I think it was October of 2020. My father met this guy who was familiar with the shamanistic arts, and just natural healing yourself, the healing through meditation and all this stuff. And I've just always been one that's just open to anything. And so he came in and he kind of taught me meditation and how meditation works. And I started feeling better. But after about 3 months of meditating on a daily basis, something happened that completely shifted and altered the course of my life. I was sitting in meditation, and all of a sudden, so I know the brain waves now, and understand the theta, delta, and alpha and beta, and gamma is the best
That's
one because it's like
yeah, that's really deep.
hyperactivity without and yeah. So I believe that was a state I had definitely reached, but essentially I felt what I felt was that I have been in airplane mode my whole life.
Oh,
So
I like that. I
yeah,
say
so if you think about
yeah,
airplane
I say
mode,
autopilot. You're in
yeah,
airplane mode. It's the same thing. Yeah, I love it. Go
yeah,
ahead, please.
yeah. No, so it's what it felt like a switch was turned off. It felt like um
Yep.
I had been in airplane mode and the switch was turned off. All of a sudden, of course, a phone in airplane mode, you're not going to receive any signals or calls or email. It's it's just your phone. And I think we can all agree any phone in airplane mode all the time is not living up to its potential. So it just was a snap and a switch, and all of a sudden, all of these things, these truths, these things, like all this stuff came to me, and while I was experiencing this, I was brought to the other side emotionally. I was not there physically. I didn't see anything. I wasn't. It was just the emotion of death, which is this amazing, blissful, loving feeling that is it's the best feeling I've ever felt in my entire life. And it's like that's what it's like to die. Like, okay, I no longer have fear of that because that was always a big fear because a lot of us, fear death because it's unknown what's going to happen. I don't know. I might, it's
Sure.
obviously we're energetic beings. You can't kill energy. We're going to continue on forever. We got to continue somewhere. So I was just, it was like I was just told all these things and then shown what it was like to cross over in an energetic way, and that was the point that things really started changing for me, and I started my perspective changed, seeing the world changed. It almost changed like a childlike view of the world where you're
Ooh, I love it. That's
yeah, where you're
exactly
just
where
like
we want to
oh
be.
yeah, where you're just what's like
Yeah.
wonderment
Ooh.
and like appreciating things because we're always so especially today we are so locked into this. We're everyone's walking around. Go around New York City. Everyone's just staring at their phone. Everyone's so locked into all the garbage that there's good stuff on social media. There's good stuff and there's
The irony of this being on YouTube is not lost on us, friends.
yeah, it's so
But,
true.
you
There's
know,
good stuff. There's good stuff on there, but you have to find it. You got to seek it out, and you got to stick with
Yeah.
it because it's filled with garbage.
You will be fed garbage first.
Huh? Yeah, and the news is just kind of it all is kind of geared towards, because fear gives you that charge, which keeps you like engaged. Like, so you really got to pick and choose social media and news. That's what I've figured out. Like, I deleted all my social media when this whole thing happened to me about 2 years ago. It was just like, all right, I'm deleting it all. Since then now I have a Facebook page and everything, and I realized that it can be used for good, but I just wasn't using it that way. So
yeah, sure, that makes sense. So I want to talk about the quantum and how you leverage the quantum. I just got chills again. So I've gotten chills 3 times while you were talking. And that I don't know how you take that, but for me, what I've learned is like, okay, that's affirmation of like, you're in the right place at the right time and you're saying the right thing, or you're talking to the right people, but whatever it is, it's like right path. And so that's kind of how I take it. And I don't get them all the time. But when I do, I'm like, okay, thank you. So for those that don't know this, explain what your idea or your perception and definition of quantum is, because we've got quantum entanglement, we've got quantum mechanics, we have quantum physics, but you guys, there is a quantum side to us as well, not just this theory that is out there that is slowly being proven, by the way, slowly being proven. And to me, this is the beautiful juxtaposition of spirituality and science meeting, which to me is like my favorite area in the world of like, yeah, we can prove this. And also, guess what? That affects this. So talk about quantum. What is quantum to you?
Well, it's it's a study of the very small, certainly, and how kind of the particles react together, and like I'm still learning, obviously, about it, but I know that like things like the observation effect. When you're if you're not observing it, a particle becomes a wave. And so that's kind of what meditation is to me. It is myself becoming a wave. Like I'm not paying attention to myself. So I'm becoming this wave and joining this field. Okay, so this field, the best explanation for the quantum field happened in Star Wars. And Obi-Wan says it best. I don't remember the exact quote, but he says he says it's the force.
It's the
Star
force.
Wars, but it's the same thing.
It's the force.
Yeah, it is. Source of the force. It's 100% what it is. It's an energy made up of all life forces of the universe. Every life force of the universe makes up this field and binds it and holds it together. And it can be utilized at any time. But if you don't know exists, you're never gonna have any idea. If you had no idea you could store things in the cloud, then you'd have a really you couldn't do it. Like
it's the cloud. It's the cloud. It's the force. It's all of it. It's all of it.
It is.
And by the way, for the people that are religious and have a certain path that they follow, this does not interfere with that. This is not anti-God or Allah or whomever. This actually you can do in conjunction with your belief. And the foundation to me for this belief is that we are all connected. We are all connected. Every tree, every human, every dog, every cat, every bird, every fish, every grass. We're all connected. We all have some sort of wavelength that we vibrate at. And so is that kind of your understanding as well? Or what do you think?
Absolutely. Funny story. I used to love to go fishing with my family. Used to love it. And I went fishing about 7 months ago, and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. Because like all of a sudden, I mean, like I was never a big hunter or anything, but like even just fishing or like, like bugs, and I feel bad about it. Like it almost resonates in my foot if I step on a bug. It's very strange because it's all everything is bound together and connected by this amazing force. And you talk about religion, and I was also one of the things that helped me get sober, and I'm very grateful for it. Christianity, which I am still a huge lover of Jesus. Like I constantly remind myself, what would Jesus do? Because what Justin would do is usually the opposite, which is the bad decision.
Still WWJD.
Yeah, that phrase still works for me. He was sent to be an amazing like show of like what humans can be, like and so I'm still there. What I have moved past is all the dogma and bullcrap, and that kind of keeps you down, like all this shame and guilt, and like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Oh, you shouldn't be. I just got so tired of that. I just didn't. Nothing set right with me. Like, okay, I need you to go out on a missionary, and I need you to start converting people to our religion. Like, well, this person is a Buddhist, and they seem happier than I am. Why am I trying to like get them to? It's all the same thing. It's all pointed in the right direction, but it's the dogma and all the stupid rules that like hold people back. Like there's no reason for guilt or shame. God is it. God is love, right? It's in every church.
That's what we're told.
So if God is love, that means love is God, and if it can't be anything else, otherwise it would contradict itself. If it were disappointed or angry or upset,
the fire and brimstone stuff.
Yeah, the fire and brimstone it would contradict itself. It's just. I think if Jesus came down, I think he'd bring all the pastors together and say, I love you guys, but you're misguided. Like you're missing the message and focusing on all this other stuff.
Yeah, I think he's around somewhere just shaking his head.
Yeah, like exactly.
This is not what I meant.
Yeah. And that's the thing with the Bible, right? You get 20 people to read the Bible, you're going to get 20 different interpretations, and only one of those might be correct. All 20 could be wrong, though.
Maybe none of them.
None of them are correct, but the max is one. So like it's how you interpret it. And these are all things that came to me. It was just like, who wrote this? Like, how do we know personal beliefs didn't get slipped in there? Like, and there's just so many questions I have that, like, how can you call this the absolute end all story of God if it has an ending? It has an ending? Like it can't have an ending. If this is the book and story of God, that it can't have an ending. So yeah.
Well, then if you go past Armageddon and you take the laws of physics, which are matter and energy can neither be cannot be destroyed, it can only be transmuted.
There's no ending.
Then there's no ending.
Yeah, what happens to all that energy? Like they have this fire and brimstone, God, but there's no. Well, okay, what happens to all of us then? Like, so yeah, it's. But there's and that's not to say anything about the Bible, because there's a lot of really amazing good stories in the Bible, and
sure.
But the morals are there, and but there's just parts that don't sit with me, and I just don't accept those.
Yeah, that's all right. I think most people, even that are guided by the religion, kind of do that, right? They kind of pick and choose of what sets well with them or resonates with them. And I find that the same even in spirituality. Some people are more sciencey than they are woo-woo, and that's okay. To me, there's no judgment. There's no judgment. Be a good human.
Now.
And I know. That's why I love quantum. Because it's that intersection, and it just makes me, I love it. It just lights me up to learn about and to talk about and to experience. And so, at the end of the day, you guys, just be a good human. That's it. Just
Yeah.
be a good human.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's karma. That's a very real thing. The energy you're putting out to the world is the energy you're gonna get back, and you see it every day and all the time. I mean, like you're nasty to the cat, you're nasty to the, like the waiter. They're not going to give you very good service. I mean, it's it's very provable. It's very obvious. But karma can be a bitch, but she doesn't have to be. It's how you treat her. You know what I mean? Like she can be a very, very nice force if you're putting it out there.
As our Lord and Savior Taylor Swift says, karma is my boyfriend. And or lately, karma is the guy on the chief coming straight home to me. So
hey, she seems to put out some good energy, so it makes sense where she's at.
I think she's doing okay for herself. So clearly she's been doing something right in her karmic life to be now the newest minted billionaire. And I think brava for her for sure. What surprised you about this journey? Like, what's something that really came out of left field and you're like, wow, what? Besides obviously sobriety out of learning this, but like, what's something else?
I mean, just my experience with the field has been the most mind-blowing, amazing experience ever. Ever since this change in meditation happened, like I can go up to a tree and feel its life force. Like I can feel it living. It's very like this is something that's never happened to me in my entire life. But and like I said, like the one time I stepped on a blood a couple of months ago, and I felt it. I felt I felt like an energetic shift, and I realized I'd stepped on a bug. Like so this. Obviously very unintentional. It happens, whatever. Like, I don't want to, I can't, I dwell on, but
that you killed a bug, you would never move again.
Yeah.
And you would never sleep because we eat spiders in our sleeps by accident. So nope.
Exactly. So yeah, the most surprising thing is that this field I've always grown up a Star Wars fan. So finding out that everything they described in the Force is true is really the most surprising thing because the Christian view of God, of course, is the old man in the beard sitting there judging you. Like that's not God. So that might have been an idea someone came up with at some point that you have to give it a form, but there is no form to God. It is a force. It is love. There is no gender to God. It's not a him. In fact, it's made up of more feminine energy than anything. I try to,
Alanis Morissette for all of my, Dogma fans.
Absolutely is.
Kevin Smith movies. Yeah. It's Alanis Morissette,
I try to
you guys.
refer to it. Yeah. It's, and it's hard because my programming, like, we're all walking computers. So we've been programmed by whatever, our upbringing and all kinds of stuff. We've been programmed.
Sure,
yeah. But I've been programmed to call him. And the fact is they. It is not him. It's a they. It's a collective energy made up.
It is collective. It literally is a they. This isn't a pronoun thing, you guys. It literally is a they, because it's a collective energy. So it's all of us, and so therefore, if God is love, and love is God, God lives in all of us, and
we are all God. We are all God. Yep.
We are all God. And the universe lives inside us as well because we are made up of stardust. So that's something else that just lights me up. And yes, I'm waiting for my purple lightsaber from Mace Windu. So me too, my friend. I grew up a huge Star Wars nerd. In fact, today, to nerd out even further, I'm wearing a variant shirt for those Loki fans. I'm a huge nerd.
I get it. I get it.
I'm okay with it. I wear my nerddom proudly.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, the fact that I can wax poetic about the quantum field and how life is actually Star Wars. I mean, come on.
It's very cool once you kind of realize it. And it's like, I mean, like it's very hard to. and I do believe in crazy things, like you can move stuff with your. I think there are meditators out there and monks that can levitate. I think they can do those things. I don't think they're tricks, But in today's world of magic, there's magic with a C and there's magic with a K. In today's world of magic, you don't know what's real or what's not. But I know that there's real magic that happens in. I can't do it, but it's magic that I'm still here. So magic exists in the world.
There's that. Yeah, there's that. And that comes to mind that today in another session, I was talking, somebody said something about Joe Dispenza. I was like, so I coach coaches on a contract. And so today somebody said something about, Joe Dispenza. And I said, listen, if Joe Dispenza can lay face down for 9 or 10 weeks and just with his mind put a shattered multiple vertebrae back together, you can go live on Instagram and talk about your coaching business. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
It's so funny you bring him up. So when I discovered the quantum field first, before I didn't watch people or hear about it, or I was completely ignorant to the whole thing.
Oh, geez. No wonder it was so impactful for you, because you were like,
I found it.
What the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah, nobody told me about it. Nobody nothing. So once this happened to me, I started searching, and I was sending my family articles they probably didn't read, and all these things on the field and this, and I was so excited about it, and no one had any idea what I was talking about. I could have been speaking Japanese, but the person that after searching for a while, he's who I landed on. That was he's got it. He knows what I'm talking about. This guy knows what I'm talking about. So I landed on him, and I've just been, I listen to him all the time because he's just so tuned into it. He knows what it is. I call him Papa Bear because he really has, he's the most impactful spiritual leader in my life for sure. And I'm very grateful to him.
Yeah, and if anybody listening doesn't know who he is, go check him out. He's on YouTube. He's everywhere. But even if you're confused about this stuff, or maybe you don't know what you believe, or maybe this is the first time you're hearing it, or maybe you're still a little sketch on it or pessimistic, that's okay. That's okay. But go get his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Either get it on Audible or read it, because that book in itself is everyday everyday people's life-changing stuff. And so it's how to break the habit, how to break those programs that you were talking, because we all are computers, and we were programmed literally from the womb. As soon as we started developing a brain and ears. So, a few months into
07.
Yep. And then once you're out of the womb, guess what? Everything is done by 7 years old. So that's a little daunting to think of, I had no control over my environment. I had no control over what came into me. My brain wasn't even finished developing yet. And yet you're telling me it's done. Yeah. It is. Unless you go into some massive therapy of some sort and really start to break down those programs. And that book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, absolutely helps you do that. So if this is your first introduction to him, start there and then go deeper, because then it opens a vast world of just craziness. And I say that in the best way. It is absolutely mind-blowing. So again, for those of you that don't know, Joe Dispenza was a chiropractor in the Pacific Northwest. He was a triathlete, and he was in the biking portion of a triathlete, and an SUV rounded a corner and took him out. He flew over the handlebars of his bike. He shattered, I want to say something crazy, 4 or 5 vertebrae, shattered. Not broken, not displaced, not shattered. And they told him he would never walk again. even with massive surgeries. And so he went to a second opinion, and the second guy said the same thing. And he said, you know what, never mind. And he took himself home, and every day he laid down and he, with his mind, because he knew the body, put together the pieces of his vertebrae. And if he got disrupted or he started to wander again, he came back and started again. And he mended his spine, and he is perfectly fine now. He walks around, he works out, like, it is mind-blowing. And so he's one of those modern day far off Nepal monks that we, that levitate and do the crazy things. No, he's American. He's lives here, and he did it. And so now, he teaches around the world, and he helps people get into the quantum field and get past all of their ego bullshit, so they can become part of the collective and then heal even further. I love everything he does. I think he's a phenomenal human. What's maybe like your biggest or favorite thing about what he's put out?
I certainly listen to a lot of to me it's all such gold, but it's just the fact that the quantum field can heal anything. I mean, anything. Like, it's there's mental illness, emotional scars, physical body things, and the power of the mind. And he talks about, which is in my book too, the formula to doing this, which is mind heart coherence. So most of us go through our days with complete disorder between our minds and our hearts. Our hearts do one thing, but our minds are elsewhere. And the only way to get them in line really is to stop and kind of he's got a lot of personalized meditations, which soon, this is a very new thing for me. We're just launching. We just launched the website like a month and a half ago, but I will be.
Congrats!
I just finished writing the book yesterday, so I'm excited about that.
Oh.
So, this is all very new.
Yay!
Yeah, this is all very new. But mind heart coherence, it's and you can feel it when you have it, because your body. First of all, you're in a state of it's a very blissful state.
Explain it for those people that don't understand. Like, tell them how you feel it, so people can relate. Because I don't think, unless you've been there, it's hard.
Figured out is like that. There's, it wasn't as much as like that first this crazy experience that I was supposed to have, that lasted like 3 hours, and I'm in a blissful state with all these downloads. That's not necessarily. I was definitely in it then, but I get into it all the time, and I know I'm in it because I feel really good, but I also kind of get this kind of like charge throughout my body. Like, it's kind of like a goosebump kind of charge. And when you're able to create this coherence, it's like a beacon to the universe. So you start thinking about the things, once you've got this going on, you start thinking about the things that you want and things you want to happen in your life, and you're putting it out there so that the thought will send it out, but the feeling draws it back in. And the whole point of this, so I was exposed to The Secret, like when I was in college, and I read it, and I thought it was interesting, and I created a vision board and started thinking about everything I wanted, and nothing was happening. So I completely gave up and said, this is hokey. But then I started realizing I wasn't doing it properly. And the one thing kind of The Secret and Joe, even Joe, don't explain as in depth is that you have to feel worthy of what you're trying to manifest. If you don't feel worthy of that thing, like, it's like, I'd like to give it to you, but you're also sending me a signal you don't want it. So,
and you're not going to take care of it. You're not going to care for it. If I give it to you, you're not going to care for it. Either you're not going to use it in the proper way, or, whatever. Yes, ma'am. Can you put it down? Thanks. So that worthiness is.
That's what this book is about. It's trying to create worthiness. So, like, where you go with that word, anything can happen. Once you create and you've got that worthiness and you feel better about yourself, and you feel good and like not cocky, you don't want to go into be the cocky type. There's a very fine line between cocky and confidence, right? Like, but once you kind of get that confidence point in yourself and you have that feeling of worthiness, then you can start manifesting whatever you want to. But I figured out the reason that the secret and that all these manifestations don't work for a lot of people, it didn't work for me, was it was missing a component. They do mention you have to feel worthy and you have to create the feelings of gratitude. But for some of us like me, so how do you do that? Get deeper into that. What does that mean? Like, because
Right.
like,
Well, and if you never experienced worthiness previously, which is led to, all of those years of numbing out, you don't know what that feels like. You don't know where to pick it up. You were never shown that. You were never taught that. Where do I buy it at Costco? Like, does Bezos send it to me? Do I get it from, does it slow boat to China from China? Like, where do I get this from? And so where did you start to figure out what worthiness was and how it felt to have it? Because I think that's important.
Yeah, it feels a whole lot better because I mean when you're raised in an atmosphere that I was so my atmosphere of growing up, I was not, abused in the typical sense of, like my parents never verbally abused me, didn't say I didn't, they certainly never sexually abused me. I was just there. So although they didn't tell me I couldn't do anything, they didn't tell me I could do anything either. So I was just kind of left to figure things out on my own. And that was in high school and college. Figuring things out on my own meant doing a lot of drugs and trying. Attention was my thing. I used to go to feel worthy. This made me feel the most worthy probably. In high school I used to go to grocery stores and we'd hit different ones and I'd never be the one to drive. We had this whole thing figured out, like a bank robbing type of situation where I'd fill up cartons full of alcohol. I mean, like the whole cart was full of alcohol. And, I would just kind of act nonchalant. I'd kind of be dressed in business casual, trying not to, hat on, not bringing attention to myself. And I would just walk out of the store. And,
what a
yeah,
rush.
and
I'm
yeah,
sure.
but so then we'd have we'd go whoever's parents were gone or whatever, we'd go over there and have like these rager parties. We'd either charge people to come in and make some money or we'd do it for free. Either way, I was the king of that party because I provided the entire party with alcohol. So that addiction high is the highest high of highs. Like it was better than I've tried many drugs, but that addiction high was the highest of highs. So, and that's when I felt the most worthy. Was like, wow, I feel worthy. Now that is the wrong way to feel worthy. I'm not advocating anyone do any of that. I've learned a lot from that, but that was kind of like my first taste of like, well, I feel worthy. I feel worthy. I've done something. I've created this
People
part.
like me. Look at me. Look what I did.
Yeah. I feel worthy. So there was a lot of struggle to go along in the meantime until I can try to create worthy in a more positive way. And that's what I try to stick to, is just this feeling of worthy that like doesn't involve any sort of like anything that makes me feel like immoral, because then that takes away the worthiness, like
It taints it. Yeah.
The guilt, and again that guilt and shame thing, it just kind of takes away from the whole feeling worthy. But it's up to me to feel worthy, and there's a step by step. So I created it. The book is called Sourcery 101, and the kind of subtitle is 13 rungs to higher elevation. So I've created 13. I don't want to call them steps. I've done a lot of AA, so the inspiration is from steps, but the steps in AA, if you're not familiar, are very rigid, and you have to work them in order. This is not like that. Every step is equally the same, and you can work them at different times. And you don't have to work them in order. But there are 13 things that I get into in depth that have created serenity in my life, have made me a better person. I can go to bed at night, like, good job today, like, and I try to, and especially me with substances, I want to wake up tomorrow being proud of the person I was today.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard. But like, when I do it, it feels really good.
I love that you celebrate yourself like that. It's so imperative to do that, to hold on to the change, to hold on to where you're going in life. Because if you don't celebrate those small wins every day of like, hey, I did good today. Even if you just woke up, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's a good
You open a
thing.
door for an old lady. Hey,
Yeah,
it's a win. Like,
fantastic.
yeah, you got, and look for them. You just, and you have to look for them too. Like, just be like, oh, it's good. Not to, like, brag and tell. It's for you. It's just like, oh, today I did that. Today I did that. Today, all right, yeah, all right, yeah. Like, and the more days you build of those, and like, that's what kind of the book is trying to get to, is, the more days of those, they start adding up, and that's what's going to add into your, like, wow, I'm really starting to feel worthy now. So
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
Absolutely. So if you can't create intrinsic worthiness currently because you don't know how, or you weren't taught, or that wasn't modeled for you, I love what Justin just said, because that is a way to start creating it, is the external way, in a healthy way, not being the king of the parties. But, paying for the people behind you at Starbucks, or, wherever you are, opening the door for a woman with a stroller. But you have to remember that you did that. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Because if one person says something really shitty to you, you go to bed going, God, I can't believe they said that. Why did they say that? Am I really what they think? Did I do something wrong? And you ruminate on that. Don't do that. What we want is to ruminate on the things that you did, well today. And so if you opened a door for a woman in the stroller, remember that first, versus what a crappy coworker said to you offhandedly, because uh, the door opening for the woman with the stroller is more important anyway.
Yeah.
Promise.
Yeah. No, it is. And like, the whole thing is, oh shoot, I forgot my thought. I was talking about the stroller. I don't know, it'll come to me. But yeah,
It'll
no,
come back.
it's the absolute truth that, like, if you go through your day and you count on the positive. Oh, that's right. So of course the mind, as we know, survivally is geared towards the negative, because we don't want that negative to happen again. So it gets obsessed and focused on the negative. And one of the most important things in the book is awareness of this fact. Like, you could have the best day of your life, and then just remember that one crappy thing that happened, because your brain is wired for survival. But these days it's become maladaptive. We don't need that kind of survival. We're not being chased by tigers.
Most of us, yeah, no.
Most of us, yeah. There's an unfortunate few that I'm sure that are, and they still need those. But yeah, it's become kind of maladaptive for today's society, and it can. I mean, you see, you don't really see the people, but I mean, there's people that just don't leave their house because it's too scary. It's too scary.
Yeah,
Something
absolutely.
really bad happened to them, and now their survival instinct has kicked in, and they don't want to leave the house because that thing could happen again.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of in today's world, ignorance is a choice. Like, the internet is there, everything's there. There's people that that you can listen to, and there's also a lot of people
For
that want,
free.
yeah, they're if they don't, but there's a lot of people that don't want out of their comfort zone.
Oh
It
yeah, no,
doesn't
for
lead
sure.
for a good life, but if someone is addicted to their comfort zone and they don't want to leave, that is
Most of
not
us are.
someone you talk to about changing.
Yeah, most of us are addicted to portions or all of our comfort zone. Comfort does not mean comfortable. They are two separate things. It means that it is familiar. Your body knows what to do with the information because it's done previously, and it knows how to handle it. That doesn't mean that it feels good. it's two different things. It doesn't mean it's good for you or that it's in your best interest. It means that it's familiar. And for those people that you were describing, like, oh, something happened that when I went out, and so I'm never leaving again. So what happened was so poor, so bad, and they've scared themselves and allowed that to hang out so much. It's so maladaptive, like you were saying, that now they're creating a bigger problem of agoraphobia because now they're never leaving the house. And now they have no input from outside others to break that rumination of, if I leave, I'm going to get hit because I got hit once. And unless you're psychic, which some of us are, you don't know that. And even if you are psychic, you might not know that anyway, because you have limited, that's my understanding.
Well, the
You
future's
receive
always
limited
shifting,
messages.
right? It's always shifting,
and
changing. Yoda
and
said
shifting,
that.
changing.
It's future changing and shifting all the time.
Yet again, I should name this about how Star Wars is real. I'm thinking of a name right now, and it's gonna be with Star Wars, Justin. I hope you don't mind.
That's fine.
I hope you don't mind. If I showed 20-year-old Justin today, would you believe it?
No, I don't think. No, 20-year-old Justin was so freaking lost. Like, I just because it's very interesting when you start growing and gaining towards enlightenment. Which, if anyone says they're enlightened, run, because that means they think they've stopped growing. But as you kind of move, the goal is kind of to get enlightened. But that person that I was wouldn't even have an understanding of who I am. Like, I could try to sit him down and explain things and how things work.
Dude, Star Wars is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I'm about to blow your mind. Star Wars is real. He would have been like, "You are high. Get out of here."
Yeah, I'm just gonna go drink another beer. I just had no interest in anything, and that's the thing too. I was so involved in this world, even though this world, whatever you call it, simulation, illusion, dream, every religion agrees that this isn't real. This is not base reality, but it sure feels real. And we get addicted to the outside stimuli that make us feel good. But the thing is we're in charge of feeling good. Like, these outside stimuli, that's not the way to get so happy. I have a whole thing of happiness versus joy. So joy is this underlining peace. It's a serenity. It's a calmness. Everything is okay type of thing. And then there's happiness, which, can come from a cheeseburger or, drugs, sex, whatever video games. I mean, they don't even have to be that destructive. But, you can peg a happiness chaser because they're not happy. They're not feeling good and happy unless they're doing that thing, whatever that thing.
Getting that external input.
Yeah. And what I've been chasing is joy, which means this just a peace and a happiness no matter what you're doing. And that's really where it's at, is trying to find this whole joy thing versus happiness. Because again, that's like the instinct versus the intuition. Those words get mixed up all the time. And I can feel it myself when I hear people mixing those words up. And I just want to be like, different, I'm telling you. But
actually,
yeah.
not to mansplain, but
I'm
actually,
not going to say anything because then I'm going to go on a rant. But and this book also brings joy, like to try to enjoy the things that make us happy, because they're not necessarily bad. Although for me, drugs are bad. I shouldn't be doing drugs. I won't.
Drugs are bad. Okay.
Okay. So I definitely want to, there's things you want to stay away from, but not everything that's kind of brings us happiness is bad. I mean, like food
Right.
doesn't have to be bad, skydiving can bring a ton of joy. It doesn't have to be bad, but but if you can't feel happy without it, maybe look deeper.
That's an issue. That is a signal. That is a flag of there is a deeper issue that needs to be dug up and healed. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that you defined joy that way, because what I know to be true is after my brother took himself out of this world, I did not feel joy for many, many years, because part of me died with him that day too.
I'm sure.
And oh yeah, 1000%. And so part of the cost of that was joy for many years. And I used to beat the shit out of myself about it. Because like birthdays, there's supposed to be some joy there. You made another year. Or for me, I have children, like, oh, my kids made another year. Yay me, or yay them. And I couldn't. It was gone. And I wanted it. I couldn't. It really wasn't there. And that's something that I know that I missed in those couple of years of grieving my brother, being in a huge dark depression, and when I climbed out of it and looked back, I was like, wow, that was really bad. That was really bad. And I missed joy out of all of it. I mean, I miss my brother most of all, but I miss joy more than anything.
The grieving process is going to happen. How long it goes on for is up to you. I believe like there's really no way of getting around a year of grieving, because you go through the holidays and everything. And
Yeah.
You grieve. You're always going to miss that person. That's not to say you stop grieving.
No.
I lost my mother 4 years ago. That was kind of the first of four things. So I always miss her. But it's not quite as hard after getting through that first year.
Yeah.
And you talk about the birthdays and everything, and I always get this from people. It's like, oh wow, you're getting old. And I was just like, I am very grateful and blessed to be here, because I probably shouldn't be. So I am super excited to be 41, and I'm not going to let your kind of like negativity get to that. I'm very happy to make another year. I hope to make another year. And like birthdays for adults, are not the excitement we had as kids. But it's everything is perspective. The world isn't, we don't see the world as things are. We see the world as we are. So the perception we're seeing things is everything. So it just, how do you want to see the world?
Another illustration of that is the problem is not the problem. The problem is your feelings about the problem. It's not the problem. It's how you feel about the problem that makes it the problem. And it's very much that. It's very like the world is not.
Emotion seems to be created by the way we want the world to be and the way the world is. And this is what creates all this craziness and
dysregulation
instead of just acceptance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think working towards radical acceptance is something that everybody should know is a choice there. There is a path there for radical acceptance. Is it easy? Oh, hell no. No. Loving the darkest parts of you is not easy. I'm sure you battled that in yourself, of looking back and all the asshole things that you did in the throes of, partying. And you were like, boy, wow. Because I know I have things in my past that I go, my bad.
Yep.
Yeah. But you got to let go, because you can't change it. So you're just going to continue to beat yourself up about it for the next 40 years? You can. That's a choice. You can. It's not going to feel great, but you can do that.
No, not at all. That's the whole kind of, just what are you going to feed? Your dark wolf or your light wolf? What wolf are you going to feed? And I try to feed my light wolf, because I know what it's like when I constantly feed my dark wolf. That's for sure.
Yeah, most of us do, right? So what if you did the other? What if you fed the light wolf instead? Wonder
Yep,
what that
it's
would
all
look like.
it's all intake, what you're feeding yourself. Like it really is. It's and yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's very cool.
Yeah. What you consume is not just relegated to what you've put in your body food wise. It's what you listen to, who you surround yourself with, what you watch, what you choose to read. It's all of it. Consumption is all of it, not just the food
Everything.
that you
Yeah.
put in your mouth.
Yeah. Glad to
And I
clear
think
that up
people
because yeah, it is everything.
Yeah, I think people don't understand the scope of consumption when people say, you are what you eat. Uh, You eat with your eyes, you eat with your ears, you eat with your mouth. It's just a different consumption. It's just a different way of consuming. Talk about how amazing Sedona is. I think it's perfection that you are there. It just makes sense to me. Like, oh,
Yeah,
you
no,
live in Sedona. That makes sense. That
I
checks
love
out.
it here. I'm gonna eventually retire here. I might move back to the valley for a time. I don't know. My fellow family's in the valley. It's not like it's that far. But yeah, it's kind of the spiritual mecca. So after I had kind of my ex left with our infant son, moved back to Boston and wasn't talking to me. So like I was just in a very dark spot and I just needed to change. So I moved up to Sedona and it's been really great. I went and sat at Bell Rock, if you're familiar with Sedona. It's one of the kind of meccas, and I sat there, just in creating my intentions for everything, and so far they've kind of come true. And I knew this is a place where I'm going to permanently live. It's just right now I might move back down there just because it's well, first of all, the rent has gotten very expensive here. It's not cheap to live in Sedona, first of all, and I'm not making any money currently. But it's someplace like if I move back down to Scottsdale, I'm coming back. I mean, this is home. So it's a small town. So Sedona, we have 5 million people who pass through here every year. It's a drifter town. We have about 6,000 residents. So it is a small town.
I
It's a
didn't
very
realize it
well
was that
known small
small.
town, but it is a small town. So meeting people is hard. You do meet people like-minded, all those like-minded people are up here. It's just it's just how do you kind of do it? But it's been an amazing experience, and I'm so grateful to be able to have lived here for this year, and grateful to be coming back if that's the case. It's just the job market here, obviously in Sedona. If you're not going to work in
Yeah, 6,000
hotels,
people.
oh yeah. Well, if you're not going to be, if you're not interested in restaurants, hotels, or that's it. If you're not interested in restaurant or hotels, you've got no place to work. So like I had saved up enough to where like I could get kind of a menial job and be okay and live here and be all right. But if you're someone that doesn't have any sort of savings, it's not the place to live right now. But visit,
Um,
it's great.
for people that don't know about Sedona, because I didn't explain it. I just knew you knew. Tell people why Sedona is so special and why I said, oh yeah, it's on brand for you to live there. Um, tell
Yeah.
people about Sedona and why 5 million people pass through Sedona a year.
So Sedona is if you've never heard of it, please Google the pictures because I cannot explain the beauty of the pictures. And those pictures are nothing in compared to the actual thing. It is the most I mean it's in one of those 10 most beautiful places on earth. The main thing is with kind of the spiritual aspect, it draws people in because of its energies. There are certain places in Sedona that are true vortexes. Like Bell Rock being one of them. And they're just highly, highly intense energy fields. And the fascinating part of Sedona is since I've moved here, it really brings out the subconscious. So if you're a jerk at your job in Boston and you come to Sedona, you're probably going to be twice the jerk you are in Boston, and because it brings out
It's so
the
easy to be a jerk in Boston, though.
I know it's awful there. It's awful. I lived there as a child. It was just terrible.
I I do love Boston, but it is easy to be a jerk in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, a jerk, and it doesn't have to be Boston. That's
No,
just
but
East Coast comes to mind
particularly
because
East
they're that way.
Coast, for some reason, it's easier. New York, Boston, yeah, any of those, for some reason, it's just easier to be an asshole out there. But
No, and and the problem is because you see, like, and I've seen it happen. I saw like a fight at a Chinese restaurant. Like, it brings out what's already in there. And if you're not prepared, the whole point of this place is for healing. It is to bring that stuff out. But if you're not here for healing, you may not have a very good time. Because, like, if you're not ready to deal with these things that are emerging from your subconscious, which, I always like to use the iceberg theory, right? 10% is your conscious mind, 90% is your subconscious, and the subconscious is 1,000 times more powerful than your conscious mind. You can think, I want this, I want that, I want this. Well, your subconscious feels differently, and it's going to win. So it just brings that out, which is a good thing when you're healing. When you're here to visit, it may not be such a good thing. So I don't want to not plug Sedona, but at the same time, I have seen it bring out the true nature. It's almost like getting drunk in alcohol. It brings out your true, like, nature. It's very interesting. It is definitely the coolest place on earth for me. I'll take this over a beach any day.
yeah, I bet. So for those that don't know about the vortexes, it's what am I trying to say? It is a focused energy spot, and it swirls. And so, if you are somebody that is spiritual and a meditator and, on that kind of journey, sitting in one of those and meditating just supercharges it all. And like you said, if you are a jackass, it's going to supercharge that too. So, just
But if
make
you're
sure you're
jackass
walking.
and you're trying to not be a jackass, it can help. But
That
people
could
who
help.
don't understand the vortexes and how it works, you're not going to have a good time. And the fascinating thing is a lot of the true vortexes in Arizona or in Sedona, you can see the trees grow in a swirling pattern.
Yeah, this is not some woo-woo stuff, you guys. It's science. It's actually proven that
You
it's
see
an
twisted
energetic vortex.
trees that have grown
Yeah,
in a twisted manner. It's crazy.
around the vortex. It's so cool. It's so cool. Justin, tell people about working with you. I want to know, what does it look like to work with you? You said you've got it, your book coming out and the program's coming with it. Talk about that.
So the goal is so the website is JLS Sourcery, and make sure you spell it with a U, because if you don't spell with a U, you could end up on a site with like cauldrons and rat tails. Sourcery spelled with a U, JLS Sourcery. So you can find me on there. I'm on Facebook now again, which I'm still getting used to after a couple years off of it.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
No, it's but it's good because it can be used for good. I just wasn't using it for useful purposes. But what I'm trying to do, and it's a slow creation, like I said, I just finished the book. We launched the website a month and a half ago. It's in its infancy, so certainly you can get a hold of me and stuff like that. But what we're planning on doing is creating modules for each rung of the 13 rungs, and going into like how you can utilize each rung and climb higher. So the whole idea of the rungs is to get a higher perspective, to be able to deal with things. I'm never going to guarantee bad things aren't going to happen in your life. I'm never going to do that. So, but what this does is create a higher perspective. So we want to create modules and then meditations that kind of go along with those modules. So the website is up, so you can visit it and get in touch with me. But I'm telling you, there's a lot more stuff on the way. So I'm just kind of jumping ahead of things and just trying to get out there before might as well create as much as I can, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So if somebody is wondering whether or not they should work with you, what would you say to them? Like, how would you identify your perfect client, your avatar?
So someone that would be coming to me in kind of a state of desperation. That is someone I can absolutely help. If they are in kind of a state of, I don't know what's, like I'm completely lost. I don't know what to do with my life. I don't, I'm just completely lost. That's the perfect person. If he comes in and saying like, what do you got? Like, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to, like, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to get through that person. Cause the whole idea is your heart is open to new things, to being
Right. There's a
open.
want.
Yeah. People are very stubborn. Like they get stuck in their and we have to be programmed. Like my whole thing is to kind of deprogram and reprogram, but we have to be programmed because what's a computer without a program? It's a freaking paperweight. So, it's a matter of like kind of deconstructing old beliefs, which are held in kind of the subconscious, the limiting beliefs, deconstructing those everyone has them and they don't know that they're holding them back from their dreams. They have no idea. They just don't understand why things aren't happening.
Yes.
So if I hear the right things from people, like, even if you're going to pay me money, I don't really want to waste my time or your time if you're just going to like, sit there and just listen
Fuck around.
and not absorb anything. But yeah, it's breaking down those beliefs, and it's people that are ready for change. That's the number one thing. If you're ready for change, I can help guide you. If you're not, come back at a later date. Maybe you will be. Maybe not. I don't know.
You're not desperate enough.
Yeah,
You're not desperate enough.
Desperation is a big deal.
Is the mother of all invention. Isn't that the phrase?
I believe it is.
I think so. You guys, thank you for joining me. Go find Justin on JLS Sourcery with a U, as in source, not as in Gandalf.
Yeah. Leave your robes and magic wands in the closet. You don't need them.
You can, if you want. No
Unless
judgment.
you want. Go ahead and dress up. Go for it.
I mean, I'm still waiting on my purple lightsaber. So yeah, we're all nerds here. It's fine. And nerd out. Yeah, nerd out. But go find Justin. Again, he's on Facebook too. All of that'll be linked below. Y'all do all the YouTube-y things. You already know it's 2024. Please don't make me say it again. Like, subscribe, follow, share, comment below if you got something for us. If you know about the quantum field and you want to see Justin back again and have more quantum discussion.
I would love to know how many people know about it, because I was shocked. Once it hit me, I was shocked that so few people do. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So comment below so we can find our people, because that excites me greatly, is finding my tribe in the quantum healers and, fans of Dr. Dispenza, Dr. Joe. Justin, thank you, my friend, for joining me. This was an amazing convo. And I'm so glad.
Hour and 12 minutes. Felt like 10.
It felt, that's the mark of a good convo for sure. For sure. I appreciate your bandwidth and your energy and your vulnerability. Thank you so much. You guys, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. And remember, it only takes a few short minutes a day to actually rewire your brain for a more positive life. And I think Justin would agree with me. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.